put the highest. His expectation was so high, yet he's not willing.
Attitude was not, not corresponding.
So we didn't have any problem in saying this one cannot be. So HR people, there are a lot of technical things they do, but they just need to mix it with the strategy. The person you are recruiting, let me give you another example of two doctors, or even our medical system, public health. You have this lady that studied medicine because her uncle was a very successful doctor, very rich, highly respected in their community. So she felt for her to be rich, to be respected, she must be a medical doctor. Now, she could be rich and famous without being a medical doctor. Because the example that she knows in her locality happens to be her uncle who was a medical doctor. So she succeeded in studying medicine, right? And she now got employed in a government hospital. Did the people who recruit her do a good job? No. What the person should be in Reventry Hospital, where they are conducting all manners of procedures that are non-life threatening, cosmetic procedures where you can charge big money. Public health is for vulnerable people. So if such a person does not devote, is not committed to a job, but doing so much of private practice, who do you blame? It's the person who recruited her. Now you have another guy who was working pure water on the road, and he used to see accident victims dying because they don't get attention quickly. And as a young person, he said that I'm going to become a medical doctor so that I can reduce pain, suffering, and death. When that guy finishes and you put him in a public hospital, his commitment will be to reduce suffering, pain, and death. And one of our fellows in the institute, who was an acting children's director in the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, Professor Kolade Ellis, gave us his own personal example when he was under this kind of training. At the teaching hospital in Ilorin, people were there, say a conducted research, and they found out that 7 out of 10 deaths were preventable. Basically because of blood transfusion, no money to buy blood. And so when he became acting chief medical director, he told them in the hospital, nobody was dying because they couldn't afford money for blood transfusion. Transfuse them, put the cost put it on my account. He acted for 9 months. He said nobody died from blood transfusion, and they did not debit his account once. That's leadership. Because he already told them this is what, and as a leader, it's indirectly. Even if they may start reluctantly. I said nobody must die. Just bring blood, let us do this. But we agreed with it. And after some time, that party
inculcated the interest into their.
And that's the difference between the religious Africa and the secular West. The secular West has inculcated and has imbibed the values of the religion. There is no longer, they don't require religion for practice it. But we do the religion without imbibing. You say the difference. They are more godly, but they don't recognize them. Look, Germany just said we were sorry for the genocide in Namibia. We are paying this amount. The money will not bring back. Do you see a black man ever saying sorry? Even when there's no price to pay, if they don't say I'm sorry. But somehow, by themselves, the values of there must be restitution for what to pay. But the black man doesn't care. I'm sorry to say. So I see somebody complain, is 1.3 trillion the value of the people? You, if you were the one, are you even ready to say sorry? Let alone make some. Yes, and they didn't need a pastor to preach that. God help us. I'm a church person. I'm not that. I'm a Baptist, but they call me. I'm not ordained, but they call me deacon. Now, strategy. If we were to limit ourselves to just crafting the strategy, I would say our job is done and dusted. But you have to manage with strategy in an organization. That's where strategy management comes. So all the things we have done is in the realm of strategy, your vision, mission, your strategy imperatives, your critical success factors. That is the strategy you have formulated. But it is still on paper. You have only articulated it. In terms of practicalizing it, you have to move to the next stage, which is strategy implementation. However, implementation here has two legs. There is a leg that deals with implantation of the strategy, and there is a leg that deals with execution of the strategy. What we have found out is that many organizations jump into strategy execution before implanting the strategy. And what does it mean to implant? To implant simply means to get ownership. Ownership is very key. The people that want to be the owner of the strategy must also understand the strategy. They must know what the objectives are. They must know how to conduct. They must feel part of that strategy. And that is why one of the recommendations for organizations when they want to come up with a strategy is to ensure that they involve everybody in the organization. Yes, as a leader, you may already know where you are going, but make people feel part of that decision. Even when what they say is not factored at the end of the day, the fact that they had the opportunity of contributing something and they said something, or they had the opportunity and they decided not to use it, will mean that that strategy, they can run with it. And so you will hear things like, why are you doing this? That's what God said we should do. Why are you doing this? God said that's what we should do. Then when your guy is not there, you don't do those things. But someone asks you, why are you doing this? Oh, I'm doing it because this organization is about service to humanity. It's not, some of us, people also say, this is what the Imam said, this is what Pastor said. Is that what you should do? Is you believe that is the right thing, that's why you're doing it. Not because the cleric says it. Someone told us a story in our institute of a visit by a group of senators to NASA, that's the National Agency for National Space Agency, National Aeronautics and Space Agency in the US, while they were planning to put the man on the moon. I said the Senate committee members got to NASA and they saw a cleaner who was busy cleaning. And one of them asked him, hey, how are you? So what's your job here? What should be the answer? Cleaner. In fact, if it were around here, you may not have the boss to say it, but is it blind? I'm cleaning and say asking me what my job is. But the response became a classic course for the importance of buy-in by staff. The story has it that the man responded by saying, my job here is to clean passionately so that America can put a man the month. He tied his job to the end objective. How many of us are able to do that? Where we work. He said, my job here is to clean passionately so that America can put a man on it. Now, somebody must have taught him, the senior people must have, implanted the strategy in the staff. Because when you now break it down, NASA is a research environment. If the place is messy, it's not probably clean. It won't inspire the researcher, the scientist. If the first thing when they get to the office is to complain about, see this place is dirty again, they have lost motivation for a period of time. So the man was able, the cleaner was able to tie what he does as one of the building blocks for putting a man, America to put a man. So every organization that is able to make the least person buy into the objective or the vision or the strategy of the organization has done very well. And you see, that's why it is, some of these things are very easy in the profit organizations. If you go to a bank now, the typical security man at the bank is not just there to open the door for you. He knows the rules of that. What's going to say? Especially during this COVID thing, where it's not thoroughfare for everybody. You want to open an account. You can even just go inside it, whatever. He can bring you an account opening from. But that's not his job. That's not his primary assignment. You want to, but he will tell you the exact place. In fact, some will ask, you know, can you find a way? If you say no, they will now tell you how to get there. Flip it. I go to an hotel, not as legal. I know that public buildings, ordinarily, when you want to park, you don't do military parking. You don't park like ready to drive up. You face in so that when you are moving, you have to maneuver before you go, so that it's not like you get away car. But the opposite is military parking. I know I'm here in the military environment. So I was driven by a soldier who was used to my aunt. So we didn't see any security person. I didn't say anything. Somebody now came out to tell us, no, we cannot park that way. I knew it was right, but I asked him, why did you wait so long before you should have been here to tell us the direction? And he said, but you can see how other people. And that was the one that got me. I just came down and said, I know aware that this is a business organization, and I'm talking to potential customers. So I went in, but it wasn't remorseful. So I went in and got the report. Now, that kind of person does not see how his conduct can impact the performance of his organization. And many of us suffer that. There are a lot of people that we couldn't see, a lot of potential clients that we couldn't see because a gate man has turned them on. And they never get to even know what we can offer. Because we took the gate man as not important. But yeah. Of course, he's destroyed himself, but his own cost is very low. He can move on to another place and get the job. If you don't want to have invested in that, you can't look at the next job. So, implantation is key before execution. Let's take note of that. One of the, you see, the reason why, public sector in Nigeria, our expectations are getting so low that when you find one or two persons who are doing things differently, they become shining lights. When Fashola was governor of Lagos State, in 8 years, he changed the mindset of Lagosians. Not with brute force, but with focus and with education. He was one that established traffic credit. Last man, he met last man. When before Fashola came, last man will just stay somewhere, wait for you to commit whatever, and then swoop on it. They are back to that mentality now. But it's now that they are trying to. But you must prevent people. Your job is to make traffic flow, not to arrest offenders. Prevent people from breaking traffic. Then you are lucky if your car breaks down. They swoop on you immediately, as if everybody must move around with the towing van in case of vehicle breaks down. But under him, that's why people will go push your car to the next, what do they call, whatever, nearby. Put your car there. Call for whatever, or you pay for it if you want them to call for their own car. You pay for the toll. But not that they harass people, market women, include Lagos tax, whatever, tax nets, from about 7 billion per month event to about 20 billion, not by shutting down businesses, but by making people to voluntarily come up to pay. Even organizers were paying taxes. I'm not exaggerating. Through their unions, they just have a fixed rate that they pay. Maybe 1,000. They collectively pay to revenue. And he's not a man of force, but it was a man that over time got the buy-in of people. To the extent that when it was time for second-time election, the real opposition politicians in Lagos didn't bother to contest. They just went to look for one boy and put him as a governorship, and so that it wouldn't be void, because they knew there was no chance. So, what did he do? He used it, and I'm not surprised. We are not claiming credit for it, but Reverend, Odapo was there when we had a 3-4 day program for directors and permanent secretaries in Lagos under Fashola. Immediately came the Institute of Strategic Management. And we changed a lot of things about that. You know, they say Lagos, they want to make Lagos a mega city. But at that program, we made it known to them that Lagos was already a mega city by definition. What we want to do is to have another a model mega city. And the good thing is that they changed that thing. They paid us for the whatever workshop that we had with them. So it trained also the civil servants in Lagos, so that they became an integral part of governance. They were not just taking orders, they were advising the political leader, which is what they should be doing anyway. So that's what the bureaucrats should be doing. So implantation of a strategy is key before you jump to execution. Now, I promise I'll round up in 1 hour. Please, once it's 15 minutes to go, let me know so that we don't overshoot the runway. Now, the last one is strategy control and evaluation. Now, we are not pretending by any means that whatever we have generated as a strategy is cast in stone, because we said something about the environment. Once there is a change, there may be a need for you to review your strategy. And review will only happen. You don't also assume that when you have put a blueprint, then everybody will do what they have to do. They have only control to make sure the right things are being done. Then there must be evaluation. And the evaluation, and this thing is not chronological. Evaluation can take place even before strategy implantation, because the cost of changing or reviewing the strategy you have already implanted is very high. You know, Even you have to do re-implantation again. And the change to your strategy should not be dramatic. The core must still be there. Let me use the example of Standard Trust and UBA again. You know, because Elumelu wanted, right, that's the correct pronunciation, wanted to make Standard Trust Bank the biggest Pan-African bank, that's the right word, the biggest Pan-African bank in Nigeria. He came up with a team to see how we could increase the, what the banks call it, the capital base of the bank from 2 billion to 10 billion. To have a bank in Nigeria then, I think it was 1 billion. So Standard Trust was at 2 billion. They wanted to grow to 10 billion. And if we're able to hit 10 billion, all things being equal, the environment remaining the same, they will have become the largest bank in Nigeria. But the regulator came, Soludo, an economist, who had always been crying in all his lectures and write-ups that Nigerian banks are too small and not competitive. You raise the minimum to 25. The minimum became 25. So his plan to raise 10 billion became big. At 10 billion, he can't even qualify to retain his license. So that we started and came up with a team B. There was actually a team B. The current chairman of our chapter in Lagos was on team A, that was looking for 10 billion, planning for 10 billion. There was another team B, unknown to them. That one was working on mergers and acquisitions. They didn't start after the recapitalization to 10 billion has failed. As a strategic minded person, it wasn't just going in one way. That there are several ways that we can arrive at being the billions. If you can raise 10 billion, we become billions. If you can acquire or match, we can also become resilient. So focus shifted to the merger and acquisition. And at that time, UBA was already having a problem, which was essentially leadership. I think those was the lead chief of staff was the MD of UBA. What did he do? He quickly, how we did it, you know, we did the details we really didn't know. But it became a proverbial case of the ant swallowing the elephant. God should be acquiring who?
UBA should acquire.
You cannot say it was political training. Elumelu was not a political player. The minority. In fact, in the committee of actors, they didn't regard him as a marginal. Because they saw Standard Trust Bank as when bank directors are talking, it's not Elumelu that is the MDs of First Bank, UBA, Union Bank, you know, maybe it was some extent Zenith Guarantee. But what happened? They were able to change, he was able to change his direction by shifting focus to mergers and acquisitions. They actually practically acquired UBA. But to show respect, he says a merger. But it wasn't a merger. If it was a merger, it would have reflected in the executive management. In the executive management. Elumelu would not have been an out owner of UBA Bank. At best, it would have been a minority director, owner. But it became, I could see how they got the money. You know, there is a lot of rule they do in market. If you know, you know. But the thing is, he was able to put his eyes on the environment. He saw something was coming. Soludo was announced as CBN governor. Zenith GT knew what was coming. It immediately was announced. Maybe even before it was announced, they already knew that will become the governor, and they knew what we would likely do. And that was why just weeks after announcement of the recapitalization, GT went to the market, public offer. Zenith followed suit, and they were all oversubscribed. Then some other banks were still waiting, that true or not be true. Will it be reversed or will it not be reversed? By the time they went to the market was after it. So strategy is very, very key. So control and evaluation means you must be watching to see what happens. You see, it could be that there is a bigger opportunity of even exceeding your plan. It will also mean that you have to reduce your exposure. It can be both ways. It can also be that you have to reduce your exposure. Those who are exposed to Bitcoin now, not they are crying now. They are crying. Well, those one policy. When this eccentric businessman, Elon Musk, invested in Bitcoin. If this man can go there, but you don't know why people do the things they do. Yeah, you don't know what they do. You only see what they do. You don't know why they do. So be careful when you follow them. However beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results. That's Mr. Churchill. He wasn't a businessman, he was a statesman. No matter the strategy, always look at. And you don't check the result after the life cycle of that strategy. You check on a regular periodic basis. We will close here. Almost all of us know about competitive strategy. Is that not so? Everything competitive. Some of us may know about monopolistic. In Institute, we talked about advantages. You know, I said there are three things that are key to us: change, advantage, and sustainability. It is the advantage you have that gives you competitive or a cutting edge. You know, even some corporate words will not say we have competitive, but they will say we have a cutting edge. Some are now saying leading, by a company called itself leading edge. Now, monopolistic advantage will only happen in a situation where you are the only provider of that service or product. And so you determine the price and everything. Like, at that point, efficiency does not even matter. If I don't need to think, just. But what will happen is the moment another competitor comes into the market, you suffer. And today in the world, are there really monopolistic advantages? In fact, in developed nations, the moment you are tending towards having two men, they call it antitrust. You have antitrust laws. Even in Nigeria, I think Nigeria has also, because the amendment to the Consumer Protection Council Act has incorporated antitrust into the law. So when you are tending to monopolistic whatever, government intervenes. If tomorrow now, Dangote makes any move to acquire Lafarge Cement, nobody will stop it. Nobody will stop it.
How about the refinery that is the refinery?
That one is not acquiring anything. You can't stop a man from being big. And that's why he was strategic. And that's why I tell people, if you are a strategist, there is a limit to your lamentation about the things that happen in the public space. Because you will have seen it. It would be a fool to invest that kind of money in that refinery if our refineries will work. So there is an unwritten. I don't want to use agreement, but you see, it happens everywhere. There is an understanding that made him to continue to pump money into that. My only concern is that I hope English happens at the end of the day because it's a businessman. If he sells his product to the Republic of Benin, Cameroon, and the rest, he will make bigger money. It can only give you a marginal discount to Nigeria. It's not government. The banks are even waiting. I know people like that are smart. If you check the quantum of his personal money that is in that thing, it will be negligible. He has used his whatever to get the brand equity to get people to put. Plenty people have put money there.
I think in 20%.
They may not pay cash for it, but they will still say, okay, we'll supply it. Well, at the end of the day, let it be winner. Let it be everybody is a winner. But there will be some bigger winners. So, actually, you really can't find monopolistic advantages anymore. If you find it anywhere, it will just be for brief periods. Comparative advantage also is gone because the world is now a global village. Japan is the highest, one of the highest producers of steel. But Japan doesn't even have iron ore, doesn't have the natural resources to make steel. Comparative advantage used to be that, oh, my product, the market is close to me. So I have a comparative advantage. But technology can wipe out comparative advantage. You know, in those elementary commerce and economics classes, when we're talking about factors of localization of industry, to say nearness to raw material, nearness to market, and all of those things.
Good roads, doesn't work.
It doesn't work again. Because the product we are producing in Nigeria for Nigerian markets is competing with the products being done in China for Nigerian markets. Look at the distance. Let's go globalization. Let's go globalization. Right now, you don't need to drive to the airport to buy your air tickets. You know, back then, you will go to the airport to buy it. When you sit down here and buy so you don't see use agents now. You know, the agent now they give you add-on services, and then there are some people they are too lazy to even carry their phone to, or maybe too busy not to. I would rather. But one of them will be here. Because it's the level you are that you can get to the level you don't. And such people, they don't even need the receipt of it. Just let them out.
Yes.
Just get the ticket. How much they don't care. They just give you to buy. Some people still think tickets are costing what they were costing 2 months ago. I received one thing to about what can happen when you have a lot of players in the market. Look at the airlines. You know they are priced. Their prices. Why? Once young guy is coming in with a secret,
Good aircraft.
although he says he's selling tickets now, I hope it's not 419 because he said they won't start flying until June and they started selling tickets and then sustainability. But let me tell you, assuming you have only 1 or 2 airlines in Nigeria, a typical 1 hour trip will be costing over 100,000.
Yes.
No, United only, United didn't kill because United was even restricted.
Sorry, sir.
Yes,
What
sir.
you want to do? Is it possible?
What, beyond that?
When you see.
Never say never. We don't know what the variables, yeah. As long as supposed to start. Yes, yes. You are only seeing the move. That's why I said, I hope the move is not. To get money, we'll go quickly go and invest in the place. Thinking it will bring quick money, you cannot bring. But for him to have been licensed, there must have been minimum requirement that must have been. Regulation people. So let us say it's possible. When you look at the value, when we were paying 15 naira for even a least 1 second call on the, do you know the value of the naira to the dollar? So, and somebody told us it's not possible. But when Blue came with Persephone, we think in the jiffy of an eye, it became possible. It's very possible. Very possible. I see the way they are fighting now, but we are benefiting seriously. And that's what happens in complete when yes. When an environment is not closed. You see, it could have been, I could have opened my mouth wide to say yes to the regulation of the oil and gas sector. But there are a lot of ifs. Ordinarily, the regulation ultimately pays the consumers. But once the providers of service are fighting for markets, prices the first thing they play. I'm not still talking about telecoms. When it became like there is no space in the telecoms market, after several years, the Tisala came. But they still found a way to get into the market. How many of you remember their move? Well, yes, that is not exactly 14, but they called it. It's like you are retaining the number you already have with only one digit changing. If your number was 0802, blah 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 blah, the only thing that will change will be the 2, which used to signify the network at that time. 0802 was Airtel, 0803 was MTN, 0805 was Glo. And as at that time, practically everybody that needed to have a phone had 1 or 2 lines already. So it's like there is no room for a fourth player to come in. But they came and said, you don't need to memorize your number. The what you already have is what we will give you. I've forgotten the name they call it. And because of that, they were able to also enter the until today. They may be a weak operator in the business, but they are still in the business. Nigeria is a vast market. So comparative advantage is also practically gone. So you are left with comparative advantage. Now, the cost of playing in a competitive market is very high. And you may not have the strength. You have to fight the dominant people for market. So it's not going to be a tea party. So what we teach as strategists is for us to adopt distinctive, to pursue distinctive advantage. It will call for a lot of creativity and innovativeness, but it is possible, and that is what it is like. They came up with something that nobody else is offering. they are all offering phone and data services, right? But Etisalat came with something that people are not even thinking about. Still have your number with just 1 digit difference. And so people went for it. So when you are in business or anything at all, and you are a weak operator, you can leapfrog and become a dominant player by adopting distinctive strategies. Can we talk of other examples in the market space? In the market, that I can talk about. We talk about Biggie, right? You know, the typical fizzy drink was 35 cl. They came with 50 cl at the same price. So you could say that was distinctive. And that is what gave back to what we call blue ocean strategy. But the thing is that you have to be constantly on your feet, because the ocean will not remain blue for too long. Yeah, that's what. Cowbell is a perfect classic example. In fact, the cowbell story also led to another book, Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid.
Those are
Yeah, let's be surprising. You know what makes cowbell to break into the market? They came at the time that the only kind of milk we buy was the evaporated, right? The liquid milk in the tin, or the big tin skimmed milk. Oh, which one is skimmed? Which one is evaporated? Okay, the dry one is the skimmed milk. Now, so the people at the bottom of the pyramid practically stopped consuming milk. But once you open that thing, even if you say you keep it in the fridge, by the time you go back there, it is empty. It's not bad. Your children have done their those. I know that that's one penny for it. You know how that thing works, eh? If you have 3 kids in your house, the first person will go, drink small. The next person that goes, we assume nobody has taken. So he too will take his own. By the time the third one came, the tin is empty. And if they now catch the last person, if you want, I can't go this morning, I want to come, the thing is finished. There must be other things in this house. So cowbell now came with sachet. And when we did an analysis, we found out that there is actually so much more money to be made from that.
yes, there was a demand.
That's not the market. And people will not say, they will say, if 20 of the sachet will fill a 450 gram tin, right? A 450 gram tin may be selling for actually at that time, I'm just assuming, say 100 naira. But when you buy 20, let's say 80 naira. When you buy 20 sachet at 500 naira, that's 100 naira. It will still not fill the whatever. But people will tell you, what's the guarantee that I can buy that? People will not be scooping the thing anyhow. I think once you tear that one, I will be that. People like finish it. And when children are going to school, remember, body lamps. It's safer. It's also, yes, what we open and use. The issue of contamination is also taken down. And so somebody in India, that's the name of the, he saw that and said, and when we look at, you see some of these things, we see them, but we don't pay attention to them. Somebody the rich people, let's not even say rich, the very fairly comfortable people don't actually eat so much food. Do you agree?
Yeah.
They may spend more money on food, but they don't eat much. Yes, I'm sure. Is the people at the bottom of the pyramid right? For those who cannot afford to buy in bulk. So we now find someone who is retailing to the bottom of the pyramid, making more money than the person selling to the big man in the supermarket. Once the big man will buy a bag of rice or a big woman, the rice will start growing wiggles in the house because they know you can finish. They know it's finish on time. But the poor man will have, they CNN did the research and they found out that in Africa, people spend 70% of their earnings on food. But that's the aggregate. In Nigeria, it's more than 10%. Because some people after they will start from the 20-something of the month, they will start buying on credit. So once the salary comes, they offset that one and then the cycle continues. As against 12% in North America, 15% in Europe of their earnings on food. So when you now bring it here also, the people at the bottom of the pyramid spend so much quantum of their earnings on food than the rich people or the more affluent people. The poor man's time may never be going to school. But what you pay as one-time school fees for a child as an affluent person, you may not even be able to use it to feed for the whole year. But you are spending more on other things than on food. I don't know if I can. Anyway, where we're going is that he's talking about distinctive. You must, for you, especially when you want to bring it on an existing market, you have to be distinctive. Same product, same service, but you must do something different that will make people to look at your site. And of course, yes.
The case of Mercedes-Benz.
Okay.
Now I think they are trying to implement this class before. They only be using their old Mercedes. But now they are having the same.
Well, you see, Mercedes is a leader, right? They are not trying to enter, they are only trying to consolidate on their leadership. When they have used brands like Kia, Hyundai, these cars are being used in America now. There's a lot of Kia because they have this economy. You see, it's general economy. Because Toyota has fuel economy, but Toyota cannot now just sell cars based on fuel economy.
Because so many of them are.
Almost all of them are. Even the American cars are getting smaller and smaller. You see the Chevrolet now. You know how Chevrolet used to be back then. Everything big. Now everybody is talking. Apart from the economic aspect, they are talking about the environment. The renewable energy. Tesla is making waves because of electronic cars. So a lot of things. So for Tesla now, Tesla used electronic whatever car production as a distinctive. You know, that was not talking about fuel. No noise. Just charge and go.
Cost effective.
Cost effective. But premium brand to buy. You understand? To buy is the price is very high because he knows that on the long run.
Other people will.
Yes.
And the oil, the foil, what will of course.
And people are promoting it because it's the environment.
Right.
And by 2030, I think in which of these countries now, it will be an offense to drive cars with water. So distinctive, is it It's not prescriptive. You have to look at your situation and look at what are they not doing in this market that I can do to break into.
Not for you. Could that also mean innovation?
Yes, that's why I say it's driven by innovation and creativity. But you know, innovation, even leaders innovate to sustain their leadership. But this one is about survival. You want to get into the market, or you want to move from being a weak operator to a leader. Distinctive advantage can catapult you there overnight. You know, look at sports players. As you know, got to that many times you see people playing football for 90 minutes, and you look at their jersey, it doesn't look like they are sweating.
Yes. Natural
You know, somebody has used technology to make sure that that thing is absorbing the water without sticking. I don't think they are finally using an NPFL. When you see it's used to stick to their body. So distinctive advantage is what the world is looking at now. And that's what, like I said, Blue Ocean strategy.
Let me also ask.
Okay.
Could that also leverage from learning from the products life cycle?
Okay.
When you know that for every product there's a life cycle.
Yeah.
And so you need to do other things for the products to remain afloat to the market.
Exactly. Now, some products will require being preserved. Let's look at COVID-19 vaccine. What gave AstraZeneca an edge, an initial edge, was the fact that you can store it at lower temperature. So transporting it to distant places was less challenging. But you still have to take 2 doses, right? Johnson & Johnson came. Just one dose. Even though they are a late entrant into the market, but you go take one. They are okay, 2 shots, get 1 shot.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Me, I have taken my first shot. I'm supposed to take, don't pity me, I won't die in 2 years. Okay, yes. I know. You know one thing about that thing, I was practically, for me, because immediately gave, of course, I wasn't the first person. There was who say sit down for 15 minutes. In my own mind, I will say, I said I will sit down for 30 minutes. But I now understood why. After about 5 minutes, I was a bit dizzy. But imagine if I was on a job, some years or something there. But because after that, nothing. All the people that pretended to me that they won't take, they went back to take. So at times, people say, don't take that thing. They lie. Some are waiting for one person that they respect, that they see as he has taken it, then they will watch you for some days. Okay, not do it. Now, so even distinctive advantage came into that. Johnson & Johnson is the last to be approved, right? But what is the distinctive advantage they have? 1 shot. So those of us who are taking our first shots, and those who are not taking at all, who will take Johnson? My own second shot is June. Yes, it's June. But anyone that takes Johnson today now is fully vaccinated. And you know, the danger now is, can I go and take Johnson & Johnson?
Sometimes I say our leaders, you can explain. Let me see our leader use this week started.
Oh, did I say that?
Yes.
Depends on the context now.
If our leaders will grant.
Yes. Okay, I think at the point I wanted to veer into that even in leadership, like in political space, people use the single advantage to get votes or to become popular. No, every politician gives rights. They give Gary, they give all those things and the rest of it. Let me even give you one election that I participated in. Knowing that people are not tech savvy to go and vote online. So people created a situation room for their candidates. They programmed in such a way that they were able to help people to vote. So that gave them that gave the candidate an advantage over the others who were relying on their supporters to go and vote. And those ones are telling you, don't worry, you are won. But they didn't vote. But he just had this strategy, have a situation room, got the details of this, were able to just log in on their behalf. It's just not a vote on my behalf, vote for me. So that just came to my mind. But in practically everything you can use, you can look for distinctive advantage.
Yes.
Yes. And they make a lot of other partners follow suit by even putting branches inside the market.
People went on branches say zero opening of account.
Yes. You know that, and before Zenith will tell you, because they are not for mass market. But after some time, somebody came up with zero. Another people came up with zero balance.
Wow.
You know, almost all the banks now, they will say, no, you can't withdraw more than this amount. If it's a savings account. Because some will say, you can't withdraw zero balance. Look at access now. Without going anywhere, you can get like salary advance in form of loan from your bank. On your app, they will tell you how much you are entitled to based on they have done your credit rating. They just give you a figure. As you do it now, the money will enter. Because the market is getting yes. You know, I wish government can be that competitive. So you can decide, okay, me I'm under this government. But we are just joking, but truly, if
We can get to that point.
yes, in fact, we should. You see, the reason why people keep flooding into it, it's not a miracle. People don't really believe on it, but it's like, let me even get there. The same way people want to jump through the desert or go to Europe. With the kind of money they can use to establish themselves here. If you tell them, they say, how you got there? No what? But this how you got there, but this one, that you say that was his luck. Me. So there is, I understand that the Canadian High Commission now, you know, they don't do interviews, right? They just do documentation, but they still find a way to see you live. They have live feed of the as you are dropping your application at VFS. They capture, yes, not just capture your vital whatever. They want to see you live. You understand? They know what they are doing with that. So that will give them an advantage over, you know, America. Some people say if you get in the West, you see some people say, did they put them inside bag and supposed to put them inside? This one went to apply for visa. You understand? And then you find some people who think merit it, they will be rejected. But I guess those are minority cases. So distinctive advantage is no longer known. People are using it now, even without knowing what they are doing is distinctive advantage. What we will find in this presentation is that there is hardly anything I have said that is totally strange. But we are only conceptualizing. What strategy are doing? People were practicing strategy without knowing or at least or an aspect of it, without knowing that there is actually, a coding to do things. Now, strategy is about making choices. Trade-offs is about deliberately choosing to be different. That's Michael Porter. And Michael Porter is regarded as the master when it comes to comparative strategy. He wrote, a book massively on comparative strategy. But even he has seen that it's about being different. Being distinctive is being different. You could be in the way you are perceived, it could be in the product you offer, it could be in the service. We were talking, what led us to this was the question raised by the meeting. Increasing the shelf life of a product can be a distinctive advantage. A product not requiring special storage temperatures can be a distinctive advantage. Even the packaging of the product or the delivery.
Yes.
Look at online delivery now.
Yes.
You don't have to go home. So a whole lot, is happening that can make you have a chunk of the market. Now, this is also similar. Strategy is about setting yourself apart from the competition. It's not a matter of being better at what you do. It's a matter of being different at what you do. And this is key. There is one organization, one group, America, that says they want to be the best in social. No, I think it's McDonald's. They now went ahead to define what they mean by being the best. Because talking about being the best is subjective, right? In some cases, there is no basis for measuring in terms of quality of the product. But it could be in the delivery of the product, it could be in the after sales service, it could be in so many other things. So it's not really, when you are talking about being better at something, if somebody is already doing it, when you are doing something new, there is no comparison until later, when other people now begin to do that same thing, the same way you are doing. So there is a higher chance of succeeding when you are different than when you are just striving to be better at doing what other people are doing. Not that you cannot be better if it is very obvious and the rest of us doing something that nobody else is doing or has done at a scale at which you want to do it can give you, the competitive advantage.
Like saying that invention is better than innovation.
Taking us to another
Another
we have to now distinguish between invention and innovation. So I think what you put as expired. we will do another workshop on invention versus innovation. Thank you so very much.
Let's appreciate so very much for that presentation.
Let me, I want you to give me this privilege of introducing my brother.
Okay.
Yes, that's a Navy Commander Babatunde Bakado. It's my younger brother. At least, since he's a Navy Commander, I'm a general. Because I'm a citizen.
Oh my God. He doesn't want that way. This man has seen God. He has not seen God. But let me tell you by saying we welcome the Navy Commander. The military is very closely related to strategy. It's like he has already also emphasized. It's such that sometimes it's arrogated as if it's the military only that should practice strategy. And I know one of the things he had wanted to tell, maybe I was waiting when he wanted to show the connection between strategy, the etymology But I want to invite you, now that the neighbor, come and tell, no, it's not that cause. You should tell us that conflict, because it's important.
Somebody mentioned it, yes.
Yes.
Somebody, when I go back to somebody, you're not mentioning.
Yes. Yes, because that connection is actually a very strong connection that civilians also should be comfortable that the military, yes, strategy can be traced to them, especially through people like Sun Tzu and all that. But strategy is not the exclusive desire of the military. Commander, I'm okay. You know, but we know that traditionally, whenever you first talk about strategy, we are looking at the military enterprise and the military command and all that. Wonderful session. How many of us are going back to a perspective view now about strategy? You know, I did say to us at the beginning that it's not possible to have everything, and that's why in the room we have students who have already enlisted to become strategists. It's a journey. It's a journey, and I would like to invite our ED to speak a little bit to that, and then to our program, our leadership school program, and I will give you more information about that. Please let me welcome Mr. Mongo. We connect leadership and strategy together.
I'm listening like the head.
Okay, I know I'm going to talk, but I'm so impressed with today's session. Please, can we rise to appreciate our... Yes. And we're going to do it differently this time. I need somebody to come and facilitate the good plan for the specialist. Please go to facilitate for us. Oh, yes. Our resource person is waiting.
You will teach me how you facilitate. Or is it another part of strategy? Huh?
No, the facilitate class. Is it a rain class? Oh, yeah.
Please, thank you very much, Mr. Director. I'm very much sure all of us are taking back something from the mental today. For me, I'm taking a very lot. I've done so much, and I know everybody has done so much. So today, we are going to give him a round of applause. It's going to be very big. Maybe, Commander, sorry, maybe in the music could have been hip, hip, hip 3 times. We're not going to do that once. So please, we're going to give clap offering 3 times. I'm going to start by when I say 1, 2, the third one. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much, sir. I think, like Silence has mentioned, for me, I have a lot to take away from this training. And some of the points that I noted are things that I will immediately do an operational office. And I do have no lot of that comment. So comment is important. And I'm so happy that I'm here today. Thank you again, sir. Having said that, this is just a foretaste of what is to come. And what is to come is in 3 areas. If you want to become an associate member of the Institute of Strategic Management, that category is available. If you want to become a full member, it's also available. If you want to become a fellow, it's also available. But all of them, there are criteria for every of the categories. And from the advert that has been sent forth, the qualifications are there. If you are just starting, when I mean starting, if you are just beginning either a management or leadership journey, you know where to go. If you are already at the middle, you know where to go. If you have distinguished yourself, you know, you have been able to effectively lead yourself and lead an organization effectively, you also know where to go. And this training are going to come anytime soon. The advert is there, so the dates are also very clear. So if you go through the advert, you see them. Strategy for me is key. And I've mentioned to you that our center was established to deconstruct three things. One, the issues around the depth of transformative leadership in Africa. Africa, even though we have enormous resources, Africans are living in very lamentably poor conditions. So, when they describe Nigeria as the poverty capital of the world, how can we be the poverty capital of the world with the avalanche of resources that we have? So, it's something that beats my imagination. And those that did that classification, they have proof to show. Africans, about 91 million people are living below the poverty line. And that for me is a huge question mark that we need to resolve. Then the second thing is the absence of strategy. Yes, we have leaders, but they are not running with strategies that can bring about results. You know, we talk about results. Yes. They are not running with strategies that will bring the results. And then the fourth, inappropriate development approach. Inappropriate development approach. And our resource person talked about when you are executing strategy implementation. And he told us that you start from implantation. So we have strategies in Nigeria, but implantation that can drive ownership is absent. So when they told us we have needs, what does it mean to the African? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a document or a new phrase that has come to town. Because the processes of popularizing it, processes of making it to be understood by citizens is absent, which is also where communicating it is important. I told you I'm not here to teach today. I came here to learn, and I have learned quite a lot. The other thing we're also going to do, having known the reason why we are set up, absence of transformative leaders, lack or no strategy at all, and the inappropriate development approach. That is why our center is called African Center for Leadership, Strategy, and Development. We've been doing leadership for the past 10 years, and we have trained 1,150 persons so far, free of charge. We have started the strategic arms of the work. This one, we have been doing it in parts before, but we have decided to really institutionalize it. And we have gotten an operating license from the Institute of Strategic Management. Yeah, so these two things are still running. But there are people here who have not gone through the leadership training. The leadership training are in three forms. One is the leadership school, the other is the leadership institute, and the last is the executive leadership course. They sound almost the same, but the methodology of impartation is different. So take advantage. The call for the leadership school is on now. And I think you can go to our website. And then if you have not registered, try to register. Because if you add it to this one, and the next one on strategy, that you'll be a different person. And I think that you should take advantage of it so that you will be distinctive. You'll be using that distinctive approach. So in other words, what you are doing before, you need to trigger yourself to the point that what you are doing before we need to bring another way of doing it. Because as times are changing, we need to change our approach, which is where distinctiveness is critical. And for organizations that are still desirous of doing well now, emphasis is on resilience. What did you get?
Resilience.
Emphasis is on resilience. When COVID-19 came, it took almost organizations unawares. But if you are the resilient type, it's just to look, which is where we talk about the environment today. In this environment now, what do I need to do that in spite of COVID-19, I can still be relevant? So it's a mix of this strategy and your approach. The approach you have adopted in your work. There's a lot of things to bring into it. But all of this will come through training and retraining. We have taken it upon ourselves to give this service. The strategy training, they're all paid for. So there are different rates for each of the categories. So go to our website, you see, or you have a link that you can share. Salam. Is a link that you can share.
Yes, sir.
And for everyone that came to this training today, they dropped their email addresses.
Yes.
So you can share it. And I'll also share the presentation that was given.
Okay, sir.
So without much ado, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I know we have entered another journey, the journey of strategy. Change the narratives in Nigeria. And the only people that can change it is you that is sitting down now. When we say Nigeria, there's a lot of problems in Nigeria. We need local solutions for our local problems, which is why we are also having this training. There are a lot of things that God has loaded into each and every one of us. But these trainings are here to stimulate those ones. We say you should stir the spirit. You should stir the spirit that is inside you, because you need it to be able to deliver and fight a lot of truth. So thank you for coming. And I know you can have more things to tell us.
No, I think you said a lot. What we just want to do now is we want to keep our, we are ready with your certificate of participation, so that you can take that along with you.
Let me see it first. Let me see it first.
Okay.
We are going to issue the certificate, no doubt. But as you are seated, we've been here since 10 o'clock, isn't it? Yes. You tell us one thing that stood out for you in today's story. One, just one.
I'm gonna be
So it's not just to give this certificate. What is that one thing? Silence told us that he learned a lot of things. But we need you, it's not all of them that we want you to tell us. One. Once I was blind, now I can see. So who is going first?
and then
Just
you go,
one thing.
you should go around. Since
Now, everybody will talk. Oh.
Yeah, so you
But
go
if you
around.
are ready with your own now, just tell it, say it.
Okay.
And please, we will not want somebody to repeat what the other person has said.
We are sent by mind.
Okay, let's start with you.
Yes, like don't do
One thing.
Okay, distinctive innovation and resilience is what does that mean?
yeah, pick them so quickly.
To fix resilience. Yes.
Maka, we're not hearing, Amara, we're not hearing.
Can you say it again?
Hello?
If the head votes,
No.
if the votes headed in the wrong direction.
Okay, Roy had that.
Rowing harder doesn't help
Yes.
if the boat or ship is
Yeah.
headed in the wrong
So
direction.
heading the right direction is key to every other thing that you're going to be doing. Fantastic.
Hmm.
What doing things differently, not following the crowd.
Fantastic.
But that's it, madam. Madam, so that we just go like this. If you are not set, okay, so straight at it.
Okay, what I learned today is in everything one does, in everything that I should be doing, that I need to strategize my plan so that it will go.
Strategize. must have a strategy for what you want to do. Michael.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to learn about the strategy management process. Okay. And it was giving us lots of illustrations, demonstrations, and case studies and best practices in Nigeria.
Fantastic.
Okay, I wanted to ask you another leading question. Those, sorry that I'm asking you. So those case studies, how are you going to accept them?
Just like because we need to carry the people actually that long. This information that has been distributed to us, when I get home or when I get to the office, I call my leaders. We also said that we need to carry them along, so we need to keep them a lot of information.
That is the implantation.
From many things I learned, one I want to share is that I should tie my job to the end objective, operations objective. Because personally, I've been doing my things. Why I'm here in this organization. I'm a personal reason that okay, I'm here to play this role, but it doesn't really happen. But if I attach it there, it will make more meaning. Stop me.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
We note that there are three major players in every segment. One, the dominant players, two, the runner-up players, and the weak players. And I don't want to be
So where are you now?
I'm in the dominant player.
You are not already.
In your sense of okay.
She said what I was about, but let me also. Honestly, because I have been hearing about strategy. In fact, even from the advert, I try to go to the dictionary to find out what strategy is all about. But it's been so simplified. It just simply means that you have an edge to be number one. You have an edge to be dominant, like she said. You have an edge to win in the game you are playing. That's what I've learned. For me, what I take home is that I can now explain this to my children. If they hear, Daddy, what is strategy? I said, come, just what you would do to be first position in your class. The simplest step and the definition of strategy.
Thank you, Alexis.
I have learned from this presentation and the few lectures we've had in the strategy class that outside my field of medicine and science, there's a vast world out there, and it is absolutely necessary that I'm not a novice.
Thank you, Mrs. Inua. Great, great.
Young man at the edge, you said what I was going to say. But I'm going to say something else, but what really stood out for me, it's not being better at what it's being different.
Good.
And another thing that stood out for me that most times we take for granted is that we don't really look at our environment. And for me, I think to have a good strategy that will work, you need to look at your environment, not be proactive, not be reactive. You need to plan, to study your environment and have different ways so that if this one does good, you don't have to go back, just steer your ship and go the other direction.
You are a strategy executive. Correct. Good one.
Hello, Buki. Is it Buki?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think this was a good session because it confirmed a lot of things that I already, I think we were already thinking and putting into practice, but I think it was useful in terms of like the continuous rethinking and auditing in terms of looking at the different things. Are we implanting properly in the organization? Are we ensuring that we have a distinctive edge? Is everyone aware of our strategic priorities in terms of how we behave?
Fantastic. That's very awesome. Yes.
Okay, thank you. For me, in addition to what the Pilas and every other person has said, is that you need the right people in your organization, those who hold the same values as the organization, if you're going to implement a strategic plan.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Well, I will come for very important issue in the result oriented. In an organization that does not achieve a result have to look at the status. It means there is no status. So when you are strategy is correct. And illustrate it by saying, according to history, what happened between the Roman and Catholics in the Second Great War between those days. The general that was commanded, they were using him, they did not take off. But I said they called him Mr. Blair. But he knew what they were doing. So when they continued to advance, even one of the junior officers wanted to go far, that when was not ready. He didn't circle him, I wanted to kill him. But he went and rescued him. But when he went down what he want, the God really
Yeah.
So that's it.
And you know, our resource person gave the example of Rufus Giwa.
Yes.
Remember the example?
Yes, yes.
What did he say?
That he was hated by the management. But
The
board, he was shooting himself with the board.
Because-
And the board was very happy.
Because the board was interested in what?
In the profit.
In the profits. Right.
Yes, I think we appreciate our resource person for a job well done. A privilege that you are here taking this much. Going by the illustration of this UBM and Olumeni, I think some of all the intended and unintended consequences of our actions. That's
Okay. Excellency, can you bring it down? Because, let me go there. Because, you know, Elumelu had a vision looking at Standard Trust Bank. He had a vision of one of the dominant banks in Africa. And then opportunity beckoned. Oh, that he already had what he's looking for.
Yes, his vision.
So he dropped his person. Am I correct?
Very good.
He dropped his person and embraced that new reality that he's looking at. And I think that is what you're saying.
yes.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. One of my systems is how to be flexible. And how to be distinctive, be able to work as a team, achieve goals.
It's not clear.
Guys, nobody you can't see it.
Please come. Okay. Put it in the language that you understand.
Basically, to be able to achieve my aim or my vision or my objective, I should be able to lay back and plan and put in place using the environment things necessary to achieve it. Carrying along the team members.
Okay. Great. All right. Let me go on this.
I should not be rigid because if I go in the wrong direction, I should be information, I should be in reality. Reality. And that in achieving my goal, I need to drop some things. We have to think things or go to me to embrace it.
Good. It's good. It's your turn. One thing. Huh? Okay, the next person. Okay, they just. Asian.
The place of reviewing your strategy, even before the point of execution, which leads us to reviewing your strategy after crafting and implantation.
That is evaluation. Okay. All right. Sabah, you have been here. Apart from snapping, what is your key takeaway?
My key takeaway is to be more proactive in any situation one finds itself, whether at work or at home.
What does that mean?
Like, just like the way you made mention of COVID-19 that it's caught everybody unaware, something may even arise at work.
Okay,
unexpected.
it's okay, it's okay. All right, Mr. Itia, it's time to present the certificate. now.
Okay.
You have justified it.
That was amazing.
Yes, fantastic.
Nobody failed the exam.
Nobody.
This is part of our post test for this training. But I think it was worth it. Can you appreciate yourself?
Just to quickly say that the certificates we have here capture those that we had their information class as late as yesterday evening by 5 o'clock that we waited. But not to worry. For those of you who are coming today, and there's just a few of you, we will ensure that we get the certificate on Monday, and then we'll talk to you to see how best to get it to you.
You should come to our office.
Our office are Toll Plaza here. All right. So I'd like to call Alaba Dekunle to please come forward and pick his certificate quickly. Let me. Please, thank you. SN, please come forward. SN. Nefertiti Ayokoche. Michael Adedosu, okay. Come forward. Lucy, show you Lucy and Numa, please come forward. Next to Damarachi. Tutu. After Lucy. The next Amaka Ikeria Kudili. Come forward.
Amaka Ikeria. Which one does not know?
The next will be Grace and Numa Jimmy. Next is Brenda Danjuma. And we have Ezekiel Mojo Samson. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's have the rest. Yes, Ezekiel. Next will be Callistus. The next will be Oko Patrick. Yeah, people check ready. The next will be SCN Leon. Next. Oko Patrick. To carry out people get ready. The carrier. Okay. Allow you are taking pictures. The carrier, please step forward. Allow them, please take this. Let's for you, allow them.
Okay, so yeah, come on. This is not for you. This is allowed. Where is the carrier? Okay, hold on. God bless. Okay,
quickly, Manuela, please get ready. Thank you. And Manuela, what you? Okay, these are registered participants. Some join online. So we also allow them to join online. So we're able to also give you that certificate of performance. Thank you very much, everybody. Like I said, I have already noted those who are here, and we'll definitely get a certificate across to you. Just about four of you will do that within a week. And on that note, I'll call on you to formally close us. And then, so, like we announced, once we are done, just please go behind, speak along, and then really want again to thank you so much.
All right, let me use this opportunity to thank all of us for coming. Very refreshing session. But my thank you will begin. My thanks goes first to our resource person who came all the way from Lagos to deliver this training to us. Please, can we appreciate you again? Let me also thank all of you for coming, who took the opportunity of this training and felt that it is important for you to further capacitate yourself. A lot of people saw this notice of training, but they didn't take advantage of it. So for you, the issue was different, and that is why you are doing today. I think personally very impressed with the way and manner that you participated in this training. It has gone a long way to higher our enthusiasm about the Nigerian project. So there is nothing happening in Nigeria that will discourage us. We continue to push until we get the prize to the place. However, one charge that I want to give to you is that we have met today. And one of the skills required for effective leadership, and I know it also extends to strategy, is the place of deployment of your social skill. How can you use the opportunity of your meeting here to start bonding? Because there are a lot of things that you can do together from here. I know that you just met yourself only one day. But I don't think it will require us to stay for years before we recognize our individual competencies and begin to work together. The strategy program has brought all of us together. How do we make maximum use of it to the benefit of our organizations, to the benefit of our individual lives? There are a lot of people that are here, a lot of capacities are in-house. Because you didn't have opportunity to interact while the session was on, you have that opportunity to interact as you move on to take your food, and to also, as you step out, you can interact with your colleagues. That way, you'll be able to figure out in part whether I have some things to share with this person or not. Remember, our resource person told us something, that when you are employing people into the office, you must employ people that have similar values with that of the organization. So as you interact, you'll be able to know those who share the same line of reasoning, line of thought with you. And who told you that you can't have consultants in match from this? But the opportunity is for you to take advantage of. So once again, we thank you for coming. We're very happy at the level of Central LSD. Our friends came from Delta State. There are some that also came from faraway places. Knowledge for us is we treat it with a voracious appetite. Also, we are not tired of consuming every day. Because we know that one thing that knowledge does is that it gives you skills and it gives you the right attitude to deploy when you want to do things. So on this note, we thank you for coming and God bless all of us. I know we started with prayer. Shouldn't we end with prayer? So a man prayed for us while we were about to start. And we need a female to please lead us in prayer as we step out of this place. You know, from the beginning, God made us male and female. So, Amaka, what's the meaning?
In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. So righteous Father, King of Kings, Lord, we worship you at this moment of time. Lord, we bless for this beautiful section
you are doing to us, the ability to partake in this beautiful section, we say thank you. For our leaders who refuse to go, we say thank you. Lord, we pray as we are going to our various houses, to our various offices, so Lord, that you guide us and bless us, and you guide us safely to our back, to our various places in the mighty name of Jesus. Right? Lord, we pray for those that will be taking flight back to Lagos and many other states, Father. Father, please grant them journey mercy in the mighty name of Jesus. Our gathering here, God, shall increase us all together in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we cover our going to our offices, our homes in the blood of Jesus. Lord, our prosper in the mighty name of Jesus.